Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. The 1-cent coin from the year 1991 holds a fascinating place in American numismatic history, representing a period when the penny continued to serve as the smallest denomination of United States currency, while also reflecting the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the economic conditions of the late 20th century. By 1991, the Lincoln cent had already been in continuous production for more than 80 years, having first been issued in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The coin carried deep historical, cultural, and economic significance, and collectors as well as everyday citizens found themselves interacting with it daily. The 1991 issue of the 1-cent coin did not introduce radical design changes, but it still represents a snapshot of the era, an artifact of a time when the American economy, technology, and society were evolving at rapid speed. To truly understand the 1991 1-cent coin, one must look at its design, production, minting facilities, physical characteristics, distribution, cultural meaning, and place in numismatic study. The obverse of the 1991 1-cent coin continued to feature the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design had been introduced in 1909 and had become one of the most enduring motifs in United States coinage. Lincoln's profile faces to the right, his hair and beard carefully engraved to reflect both dignity and character. Above his head is the motto "In God We Trust," a phrase that by 1991 was deeply ingrained in American identity and had been included on the cent since its 1909 introduction. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word "liberty," a reminder of the nation's founding principles, while to the right of his profile appears the date, 1991, denoting the year of minting. On some coins, depending on the mint, a small mint mark letter also appears beneath the date, identifying whether the coin was struck at Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The reverse of the coin in 1991 displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in place since 1959, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, this reverse presented the entire memorial building with its columns, stairs, and central statue visible when examined under magnification. Across the top of the coin was the legend "United States of America," boldly declaring the issuing nation. Below that phrase, in slightly smaller letters, was the motto "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many, one." At the bottom of the reverse was the denomination spelled out as 1 cent, ensuring that the coin's value was easily recognized. The Lincoln Memorial reverse was a familiar sight to Americans in 1991, and it remained in circulation until it was replaced in 2009 by a new series of designs honoring the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. Physically, the 1991 cent shared the same specifications as other modern pennies of the time. It had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and a thickness of 1.52 millimeters. By weight, the coin measured 2.5 grams. Unlike earlier Lincoln cents, which had been struck in bronze until 1982, the 1991 cent was composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition shift, which began midway through 1982, was due to the rising cost of copper. The new composition was 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, with the copper plating giving the coin its familiar reddish appearance. Despite being visually indistinguishable from older bronze cents, the zinc-based cents were lighter and produced a different sound when dropped. By 1991, this change had become standard and the zinc cent was the only composition in use. The minting of 1-cent coins in 1991 was carried out at multiple facilities. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint all participated in producing coins that year. Philadelphia coins bore no mint mark, Denver coins carried the D mint mark, and San Francisco coins featured the S mint mark. Though in 1991 the San Francisco Mint primarily produced proof coins for collectors rather than circulation strikes. The proof coins, struck with polished dies on specially prepared planchets, displayed mirrored fields and frosted design elements, making them highly attractive to collectors. These proof coins were sold as part of United States Mint proof sets and were not intended for general circulation. Mintage numbers for 1991 were extremely high, reflecting both the demand for cents in commerce and the mint's continued practice of producing billions of pennies annually. More than 5.1 billion cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, while the Denver Mint produced more than 4.6 billion. The San Francisco Mint struck over 2.8 million proof coins, distributed to collectors through annual proof sets. The enormous number of coins produced ensured that the 1991 cent was common in circulation and continues to be widely available today. For everyday Americans, the penny was still a necessary denomination in 1991, used for making change, vending machines, parking meters, and countless small transactions. For numismatists, the 1991 cent presents interesting areas of study. While most examples are common and hold only face value in circulated condition, certain varieties and error coins can command collector premiums. Errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and clipped planchets are always of interest to specialists, and examples from 1991 exist in varying degrees of rarity. Additionally, coins graded at the highest levels by third-party grading services, such as Mint State 67 or higher, can be sought after by registry set collectors who aim to assemble the finest possible sets of Lincoln cents. The coin's cultural role in 1991 should also not be overlooked. Despite ongoing debates about the usefulness of the cent, it remained an ingrained part of American daily life. Children collected pennies in jars, schools used them in educational projects, and adults carried them in their pockets as change. The image of Lincoln on the cent symbolized not only the nation's 16th president, but also ideals of honesty, perseverance, and unity. By the early 1990s, Lincoln had already been featured on the cent for over 8 decades, making him the longest-running portrait on any American coin. The durability of this design reflected both the respect for Lincoln and the convenience of maintaining a consistent coinage identity for the public. The 1-cent coin of 1991 is best understood when placed within the broader historical and economic framework of the United States at that time. The early 1990s were years of significant change, marked by both economic recession and international events that reshaped America's role in the world. Against this backdrop, the penny continued to circulate as the most common coin in American commerce, linking everyday citizens to a long tradition of coinage and monetary history. In 1991, the United States economy was recovering from the recession of the early 1990s, which had officially lasted from July 1990 to March 1991. Rising unemployment, slowing growth, and shifts in global trade affected millions of Americans. Despite these difficulties, the penny remained ubiquitous. Its role in commerce did not diminish even as debates emerged about whether the denomination was still necessary. Critics argued that inflation had eroded the purchasing power of the cent to the point where its utility was minimal, while defenders insisted that eliminating it would inconvenience consumers and raise prices due to rounding. The production of billions of 1-cent coins in 1991 demonstrated the mint's continued commitment to the denomination despite such controversies. Another significant factor influencing the cent in 1991 was the ongoing conversation about rising production costs. Even though the transition from bronze to zinc had lowered expenses, the mint still spent more to produce and distribute each cent than its face value justified. This imbalance would grow in the years ahead, but in 1991 it was already a matter of concern for policymakers and economists. The penny thus represented not only a circulating coin, but also a symbol of the tension between tradition and practicality in American currency policy. The design continuity of the 1991 cent also deserves attention. While many other coins in U.S. history had seen design changes over time, the Lincoln cent had remained remarkably consistent. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, first chosen in 1909, was itself historic because it was the first time a real individual had been featured on a regular issue U.S. coin. Prior to that, coinage featured allegorical figures such as Liberty. The choice of Lincoln reflected the immense respect held for him as a leader who preserved the Union during the Civil War and championed the end of slavery. By 1991, Brenner's portrait had been modified slightly for clarity and sharpness, but it remained instantly recognizable. This continuity provided stability and cultural familiarity, ensuring that each generation of Americans encountered Lincoln daily in their pocket change. The reverse, showing the Lincoln Memorial, also carried symbolic weight. Introduced in 1959, the design honored the sesquicentennial of Lincoln's birth and replaced the wheat ears design used since 1909. Gasparo's depiction of the memorial served not only as a tribute to Lincoln, but also as a representation of national unity and strength. By 1991, this design had been in use for 32 years and was deeply associated with the American cent. Its intricate detail, including the tiny image of Lincoln statue visible between the central columns, made it one of the more artistic reverses in U.S. coinage. The design emphasized continuity with the nation's capital, linking the coin to Washington, D.C., and to the ideals embodied in the Lincoln Memorial itself. Numismatically, the 1991 cent is part of the larger Lincoln Memorial series, which spanned from 1959 to 2008. Collectors often view each year's cent as part of a continuous timeline, with certain years standing out due to low mintages, varieties, or special commemorations. The 1991 issue is considered common, with billions produced, but it holds importance for those building complete date and mint mark sets of Lincoln cents. For such collectors, the challenge lies not in acquiring a 1991 cent but in finding examples of the highest possible grade. High-quality specimens with sharp strikes, original luster, and no marks can be scarce, even when billions of coins were struck. The proof cents of 1991, produced at the San Francisco Mint, offer another area of numismatic interest. Proof coins are struck multiple times on specially prepared planchets with polished dies, resulting in coins with mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. These coins were sold to collectors in proof sets, which also contained other denominations. The 1991 proof cents can be found relatively easily today, but they are valued for their beauty and as part of complete proof sets. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC often certify these coins, with perfect PR70 examples commanding the highest premiums among collectors. Error coins from 1991 have also gained attention. Errors can occur at any stage of the minting process, from blank preparation to striking. Common types of 1991 cent errors include off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the planchet, resulting in part of the coin being blank, doubled dies, where elements of the design appear doubled, due to misalignment during hubbing, and clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to the blank being improperly cut. Collectors specializing in errors prize such coins for their uniqueness, and some 1991 examples can be worth significantly more than face value depending on severity and rarity. Culturally, the penny in 1991 remained a symbol of thrift and small savings. Children collected pennies in piggy banks, and phrases like, "A penny saved is a penny earned," continued to hold sway in American culture. Pennies were used in school lessons to teach arithmetic, economics, and history. Despite their low purchasing power, pennies connected Americans across generations, serving as the first coin many people learned to recognize and use. The familiar coppery color of the cent, even though it was mostly zinc inside by 1991, symbolized tradition and continuity in a rapidly changing world. The year 1991 was also significant in the international context, with events such as the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the Gulf War, and shifts in global trade reshaping the political and economic environment. Against this backdrop, the 1-cent coin may have seemed insignificant, but it nonetheless represented stability in American daily life. While global events reshaped geopolitics, the penny remained unchanged, circulating steadily in billions. For historians and numismatists alike, such coins serve as reminders that even the smallest objects can carry cultural and historical meaning, grounding people in shared traditions during times of upheaval. The 1-cent coin dated 1995 holds a meaningful place in the continuing legacy of the Lincoln cent series, representing both continuity and evolution within American coinage. By this year, the Lincoln cent had been in production for more than 8 decades and had become one of the most recognized and widely circulated coins in the United States. The year 1995 was particularly significant for collectors and numismatists because it gave rise to one of the most famous varieties of the modern era, the 1995 Doubled Die Obverse cent. Beyond this numismatic landmark, the 1995 1-cent coin also reflected the economic climate of mid-1990s America, a period of transition marked by technological advances, shifting social values, and economic recovery. The obverse design of the 1995 1-cent coin remained the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. His depiction of the 16th president had already become the longest-running portrait on any U.S. coin by that time. Lincoln's right-facing bust displays carefully detailed hair, beard, and clothing, capturing both dignity and humanity. At the top of the coin, the national motto "In God We Trust" is inscribed in bold letters, serving as both a spiritual declaration and a statement of national identity. To the left of Lincoln's bust appears the word liberty, a fundamental American value, while the date 1995 is positioned to the right of the portrait. Depending on where the coin was minted, a small mint mark appears just below the date, identifying whether it was struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco Mint. The reverse design in 1995 continued to feature the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to honor the sesquicentennial of Lincoln's birth. Created by Frank Gasparo, the design presents the neoclassical memorial in Washington, D.C., with its columns, steps, and central statue of Lincoln visible when viewed closely. Across the top of the reverse is the inscription United States of America, while the Latin motto E pluribus unum appears just below it, meaning out of many, one. The denomination 1 cent is boldly placed at the bottom of the coin, ensuring clarity of value. This design, which had already been in use for 36 years by 1995, represented both a tribute to Lincoln and a symbol of national unity. Physically, the 1995 1-cent coin shared the same specifications as other Lincoln cents of its era. The diameter measured 19.05 millimeters, with a thickness of 1.52 millimeters. Its weight was 2.5 grams. Since 1982, the composition of the cent had been changed from primarily copper to a core of 97.5% zinc coated with 2.5% copper plating. This gave the coin its familiar reddish appearance while significantly reducing the cost of production. Though visually indistinguishable from the earlier bronze cents, the zinc-based coins had a different internal structure that sometimes led to issues such as corrosion if the copper plating was breached. Nevertheless, by 1995 this composition had become firmly established as the standard for the cent. The mintage figures for 1995 were exceptionally high, reflecting the continued demand for cents in circulation. At the Philadelphia Mint, more than 6.4 billion 1-cent coins were struck, while the Denver Mint produced more than 7.1 billion. The San Francisco Mint contributed proof coinage, striking over 2.7 million proof cents that year for inclusion in annual proof sets sold to collectors. These proof coins, made with specially prepared dies and planchets, displayed sharp detail, frosted designs, and mirrored fields, offering a higher level of artistry and finish than regular circulation strikes. Collectors often seek these proof issues for their brilliance and beauty, while circulation strikes from Philadelphia and Denver remain common in everyday commerce. The most famous aspect of the 1995 cent is the existence of the Doubled Die Obverse variety, commonly referred to as the 1995 Doubled Die. This variety, originating from the Philadelphia Mint, features dramatic doubling on the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." The doubling is bold and easily visible to the naked eye, making it one of the most prominent and desirable modern doubled die cents. When news of the 1995 double die emerged, it generated significant excitement in the numismatic community and even among the general public. Many individuals began searching through their pocket change, hoping to discover one of these valuable errors. The popularity of this variety helped introduce a new generation of Americans to coin collecting, sparking interest in the Lincoln cent series. While billions of normal 1995 cents exist, the Doubled Die Obverse remains a key highlight for collectors. Values for this variety can vary based on condition, but examples in uncirculated grades can command strong premiums. Certification by grading services such as PCGS or NGC adds confidence for collectors purchasing these coins, and registry set competition has further fueled demand for high-grade specimens. The 1995 double die thus stands not only as a fascinating minting error but also as a cultural phenomenon within modern numismatics. Error coins from 1995 beyond the double die also exist and attract collector interest. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other types of errors are collected by specialists who seek unique and unusual examples. The sheer scale of cent production in 1995, with over 13 billion coins struck, ensured that a certain number of mistakes would occur despite the mint's quality control procedures. Each error tells its own story of the minting process and provides insight into the mechanical challenges of mass-producing billions of small coins. In the broader cultural and economic context, the penny in 1995 was still widely used and accepted, even as some economists questioned its practicality. Inflation had reduced its purchasing power considerably, yet it remained necessary for exact transactions. Vending machines, parking meters, and retail cash registers all relied on the availability of cents to ensure accurate pricing. Additionally, the penny held cultural symbolism that extended beyond its monetary value. Children learned arithmetic by counting pennies, charities organized penny drives, and the coin served as a tangible connection to Lincoln's enduring legacy. The mid-1990s were a period of optimism in the United States, as the economy was recovering from the recession of the early decade and moving toward the prosperity of the late 1990s. The penny, humble though it was, remained part of this story. In 1995, Americans experienced rapid growth in technology, with personal computers and the internet beginning to reshape daily life. Amid such transformations, the 1-cent coin represented stability and continuity. Its design had become a symbol of tradition, even as society embraced innovation. For collectors, the 1995 cent has enduring appeal not only because of its famous double die but also because it forms part of the continuous Lincoln cent series. Completing a date and mint mark set of Lincoln Memorial cents requires the inclusion of the 1995 issues from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. High-grade examples are also sought after, particularly by those pursuing registry sets that emphasize quality. Proof coins, with their flawless finishes, represent another facet of the 1995 issue, treasured for their artistry and preservation. The 1995 cent also underscores the challenges of balancing tradition with practicality in U.S. coinage. By the mid-1990s, the debate over whether to eliminate the penny had already begun to surface more frequently. Supporters of abolition argued that the coin cost more to produce than its face value, while opponents insisted it remained vital for commerce and symbolically important. In 1995, the penny endured, with billions struck and circulated reflecting both its ingrained role in American life and the difficulty of altering long-standing currency traditions. The 1-cent coin dated 1996 continues the long-running tradition of the Lincoln cent, which by then had been in production for 87 consecutive years. As the smallest denomination in U.S. coinage, the penny in 1996 carried not only economic utility but also deep historical and cultural significance. The coin's design, rooted in the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the symbolism of the Lincoln Memorial, reflected continuity at a time when the United States was experiencing rapid technological and economic change. For collectors, historians, and everyday Americans alike, the 1996 1-cent coin provides a fascinating snapshot of a nation balancing tradition with modernization. The obverse of the 1996 cent featured the portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909. Lincoln's right-facing bust remained virtually unchanged, though over the decades it had undergone slight modifications to enhance clarity and detail. His profile is marked by a dignified expression, carefully engraved hair, and his iconic beard. Above the portrait, the national motto, "In God We Trust," appears prominently, a phrase deeply woven into the fabric of American identity. To the left of Lincoln's bust is the word liberty, while to the right is the date, 1996. Depending on the mint where the coin was struck, a small mint mark also appears just beneath the date. Philadelphia cents bearing no mint mark, Denver cents marked with a D, and San Francisco proof coins marked with an S. This arrangement mirrored the standard design conventions that had been in place for decades, ensuring familiarity to all who used the coin. The reverse of the 1996 1-cent coin depicted the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo in 1959 to mark the sesquicentennial of Lincoln's birth. The memorial stands in the heart of Washington, D.C., and its appearance on the coin reinforced Lincoln's role as a unifying figure in American history. The design includes the memorial's columns, steps, and even a tiny engraving of the seated statue of Lincoln, which can be seen with magnification. Across the top of the coin is the inscription United States of America, while just below it, in smaller letters, is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The denomination 1 cent is inscribed boldly at the bottom, leaving no ambiguity about the coin's value. By 1996, This reverse had been in use for 37 years, making it deeply familiar to Americans of all ages. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1996 cent shared the specifications of all post-1982 Lincoln cents. It had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a thickness of 1.52 millimeters, and a weight of 2.5 grams. Its composition was 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating of 2.5%, giving the coin its traditional reddish appearance while dramatically reducing the cost of production compared to the earlier bronze composition. Although visually indistinguishable from the pre-1982 bronze cents, the zinc-based composition was lighter and carried different physical properties. Over time, some zinc cents developed corrosion if the copper plating was breached, a phenomenon collectors sometimes encounter when examining well-worn examples from circulation. Mintage figures for 1996 were substantial, as the U.S. Mint continued to strike billions of cents to satisfy the demand for small change. At the Philadelphia Mint, production exceeded 6.5 billion coins, while the Denver Mint struck more than 6.5 billion as well. The San Francisco Mint, by then dedicated primarily to producing proof coinage for collectors, struck over 2.5 million proof cents in 1996. These proof coins were included in annual proof sets, which contained one example of each circulating denomination. Proof cents stood apart from circulation strikes due to their sharp detail, frosted design elements, and mirror-like fields, all achieved through multiple strikes with specially prepared dies and planchets. Collectors prized these coins for their beauty and craftsmanship, while the vast majority of 1996 cents entered circulation through Philadelphia and Denver's massive outputs. For collectors, the 1996 cent presents both challenges and opportunities. With billions of examples struck, most circulation coins are extremely common and retain only face value when worn. However, high-grade uncirculated specimens can be sought after, especially those graded MS67 or higher by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. Such examples are difficult to find because even freshly minted cents often acquired marks and abrasions during the mass production process. Proof coins also attract collector attention, particularly in the highest grades such as PR69 or PR70, where their flawless surfaces highlight the artistry of the design. Errors and varieties from 1996 provide another area of numismatic interest. Although no major double die varieties emerged in 1996 comparable to the famous 1995 double die cent, smaller die varieties and mint errors have been cataloged by specialists. Examples include off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, RPMs, and other anomalies. Collectors who focus on error coins enjoy the uniqueness of such pieces, which stand apart from the billions of standard coins. In particular, dramatic errors, such as significant off-center strikes or coins struck on misaligned planchets, can command premiums in the marketplace. Economically, the cent in 1996 continued to face scrutiny regarding its utility and cost of production. Inflation over the decades had reduced the purchasing power of the penny to the point where some argued it was nearly obsolete. Critics noted that it cost more than 1 cent to mint and distribute each coin, creating inefficiencies for the U.S. Mint and the broader economy. Nevertheless, the penny endured, supported by arguments that its elimination would inconvenience consumers and cause rounding of transactions. In 1996, as in previous years, billions of cents circulated in American commerce, highlighting the nation's attachment to the denomination despite economic debates. Culturally, the penny in 1996 remained an important part of American daily life. Children learned to count using pennies, and charitable organizations held penny drives as a way of engaging communities in fundraising. The coin's distinctive coppery appearance and familiar design made it one of the most recognized objects in circulation. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse served as a daily reminder of his role in preserving the Union and ending slavery, while the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse symbolized national unity. For many Americans, pennies carried sentimental value even beyond their monetary worth, embodying traditions, memories, and the notion that small things still mattered. The broader historical context of 1996 also provides insight into the coin's significance. The mid-1990s were years of strong economic growth in the United States, marked by low unemployment, controlled inflation, and the rapid expansion of technology. The internet was beginning to transform business and communication, while advances in computing brought new efficiencies to both households and industries. Amid these sweeping changes, the penny represented continuity. Its design and presence in commerce linked the present to the past, even as society entered a new technological era. This juxtaposition of modern innovation and enduring tradition makes the 1996 cent a particularly interesting subject of study. In numismatic terms, the 1996 cent forms an essential part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which spanned from 1959 to 2008. Collectors assembling date and mint-mark sets of Lincoln cents must include the 1996 issues from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While the coins themselves are common, finding pristine, uncirculated examples with full original luster can be more challenging than the sheer mintages suggest. For proof set collectors, the 1996 proof cent holds its own appeal as part of the complete set. Each of these coins contributes to the broader story of the Lincoln cent, a series beloved by generations of collectors.